This morning, I sat on my porch watching the fog lift off the trees, and it hit me. I am 80 years old, in the quiet of this house. Silence isn't just empty space anymore. It's a library of echoes. Over 8 decades, I've watched the world change, but more painfully, I've watched the people leave. Parents, siblings, old friends, the person I thought would hold my hand until the very end. They are all gone. At this age, you become a ghost in a world that belongs to the young, watching them rush and worry about things that, from where I stand, look like grains of sand. People ask, "What is it like?" or look at me with pity, as if being the last one standing is a tragedy. But there is a secret to being 80 that no one tells you until you arrive here. When everything and everyone is stripped away, what remains isn't nothing. It's the truth. The first thing I learned is that we never truly own anything or anyone. In my 40s and 50s, I thought my life was defined by what I had built, my career, my home, my reputation, and I guarded those things like they were permanent. But at 80, I look at my hands and realize they are empty, and that is okay. I've watched homes be sold and professional legacies fade, but what remains isn't a trophy on the shelf. It's the character I forged along the way. The people we love are only on loan. We don't own our spouses or children. We are simply stewards of their time. When we stop trying to hold on and start experiencing them, grief transforms into gratitude for the time we shared. What remains is the love we give, because that is the only thing that doesn't decay. Life isn't made of the big milestones, the wedding, the promotion, the grand vacation. It's made of the walk between them. If I could go back, I'd seek more noticing, linger longer over a cup of coffee, listen to the birds with intent. At the end of a long life, what remains is a collection of small, beautiful nothings that turn out to be everything. Solitude is one of the hardest parts of watching everyone leave. We are a generation taught to stay busy. But when the house empties and friends pass on, we are left with ourselves. Most people spend their lives running from themselves, using noise, work, and company to drown out their own thoughts. At 80, you can't run anymore. You sit, and in that sitting, you find strength you didn't know you had. What remains is your internal fortress. If you build a relationship with yourself, old age becomes a sanctuary. I've learned I am enough. I've learned to forgive the man I was at 25 and 50. What remains is a quiet peace with the person in the mirror. Regrets exist, of course. Risks I didn't take. Words of love I held back. But what pains me most is remorse of the times I wasn't kind. Being right feels empty when names in your address book fade away. What remains is realizing that kindness was always the correct answer. Call someone today not to settle a score, but to say, "I'm glad you're here," because one day they won't be. There's a strange grace in watching the world move on without you. At first, it felt bitter, like being left behind, but then I realized it's supposed to. What remains is the role of the witness. I see my grandson's eyes and my father's eyes staring back at me. I see that I am one stitch in a vast tapestry. My job now is not to lead the parade, but to cheer from the sidelines. There is immense freedom in letting go of the need to be important. What remains is the joy of seeing life renew itself, knowing a part of my story lives on. When everyone is left, what remains is gratitude, a fierce, heart-taking gratitude for the sheer impossibility of it all. I got to be here, to love even if I lost, to see 29,200 sunrises. At 80, I am not afraid of the dark because the light never truly goes away. It simply moves to the next room. Don't wait until you're 80 to find what remains. Look for it now. In the breath you just took, in the person across from you, in the quiet of your own heart. Thank you for sitting with me on this porch for a while. If this spoke to you, share it with someone you love. Subscribe to join us for more reflections on life. And leave a comment telling me one thing you've learned to cherish as you've grown older. I read them all, and it makes the house feel a little less quiet.